about sealioning, and a reminder that you are not a teacher unless you're getting paid. So you don't have to teach men anything unless they literally are paying you to. In fact, the more time you spend trying to teach men things they don't actually want to learn, they just want to exhaust you, the more harm you're doing to yourself and to other people, because there's so many people who could actually benefit from all this amazing knowledge, insight, wisdom that you have, and men don't deserve it unless they're paying for it. And the reason why I'm thinking about this, I wrote an article for Huffington Post several years ago about the faux student, or that's what I called it. I don't know. I just literally just said that word. It's what I call them, but I don't know. Maybe other people use that term, but I didn't actually know the official term of sealioning until recently. And Francesca Ramsey, who, if you're not following, change that now. Brilliant woman. Did a whole video just breaking it down and gave a great example of a man sea-lying her. So I'm gonna include that in my caption. TikTok won't let me link videos anymore, but I'll tag her. But on YouTube, I'll link it. And yes, Mose is home. He's doing okay. Just can't walk for 6 weeks other than to take a crap. Anyway, so let's talk about sealioning, and I want to tell you how I learned to deal with these kind of people. Usually it's men. And also, for any white women who follow me, take note, because we can do this sometimes, and we need to stop. So I actually learned about sealioning from black women in terms of what white women did all the time. And then that insight helped me realize that men do that to me all the time. So this is why, like, we you know what I mean? Our learning should be intersectional, because so many things that I understand in terms of what men are doing, I've understood only because I see how it plays out with whiteness and what I have been conditioned to think. Let's go into sealioning, and then I'm going to show you the example from my own life that made me have this huge aha moment, and then made me pitch it to the Huffington Post and write about it, because I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing this anymore. I had looked up this term before, but I'd never seen this cartoon until Francesca included it in her video. Sure enough, it is on Wikipedia. So this is the illustrator. I'll show you more references. You know, this woman's just talking about sea lions. I don't really like them. Then out of nowhere, a sea lion appears on this like train thingy. So not even in the appropriate space that a sea lion would be hanging out. Uh-oh, now you've done it. Here comes a sea lion. I'd like to have a civil conversation about your statement. Do you mind showing me evidence of any negative thing any sea lion has ever done to you? I'm just curious if you have any sources to back up your opinion. Go away. There's no need to raise your voice. I'm right here. Why are you getting so mad? Why are you so crazy? Calm down. We know these tactics. Then he shows up in her bedroom. You made a statement in the public for all to hear. Are you unable to defend it? Unwilling to have a reasoned discussion? You're in my house. This is what men who come onto my page. They don't do it as much anymore because I've just blocked them so often that I rarely get into their algorithm, unless I talk about my own essay at the river like 2 weeks ago about a man off, and then they came all over to tell me how that was my fault, along with women. A million people blame me for that. Anyway, so this whole thing is like, I'm just I've been so polite, and you two are so rude. Like, this dude is like, the sea lion is just interrupting their peace. The conversation comes out of nowhere, is hanging out in their space, making this woman explain her position. Tell me. Nah. So what is it? It's a form of trolling or harassment that consists of pursuing people with relentless requests for evidence, often tangential or previously addressed, right? So it's like we already did it, and you're like, no, I need more evidence, while maintaining a pretense of civility and sincerity. I'm just trying to blah, 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 and feigning ignorance of the subject matter. It may take the form of incessant bad faith invitations to engage in debate. There's all kinds of forms it takes, but it originated in 2014 in this webcomic Wandermark by David Malky. The sea liner feigns ignorance and politeness while making relentless demands for answers and evidence, while often ignoring and sidestepping any evidence that the target has already presented, under the guise of just trying to have it. So when the target is eventually provoked into an angry response, the sea liner can act as the aggrieved party, the victim of it all, and the target presents as a closed-minded and unreasonable. It is described as incessant bad faith invitations to engage in debate. So that's why when people say, like, I don't think this question is in good faith, this is what we're saying. I'm pretty sure you're sea lioning here. It can be performed by an individual or a group. Basically, it is a form of trolling meant to exhaust you, while the person who instigated it has really no intention of learning anything or having any real debate. It's just to exhaust you. That is all it's doing, to exhaust you, to take your time and your resources, right? Your energy, all this teaching that you could be doing to someone who really was a student. That's why I call it a faux student, because a student wants to learn from a teacher, but they don't want to learn. They are pretending to care. And men do this all the time, which is why if I get a question in bad faith, I never answer it. And in fact, I immediately block them because I know what they're doing. And one of the things I'm probably most proud of is the fact that I have made both my YouTube and TikTok places somewhere where I have blocked so well these bad faith arguments, not only because I want to not waste my own time, and even though my engagement would get, I would have more followers if I allowed it, because that gets in the algorithm, that engagement, that back and forth. But I don't want that, and I don't want to role model that for other women especially, and I don't want them wasting their time on men trying to troll me or troll them, right? So it does come at a price, but the benefit of that is that the people who follow me and appreciate my work, appreciate that time and energy I put into keeping those the sealioning out of my comment section, and so they trust me more. And that it's worth that to me. It is a lot of work and it's exhausting, but you know it's even more exhausting? Going to my page, either one, and seeing comments that me not wanting to be at my own party, you know? Like my pages are like a little party. It's my house. We're having fun over here. I don't want to not go to my own party because I'm letting someone do this stuff in my space. So where did I first learn how to do this? It was kind of by, I learned everything through experience, right? I think most people do. I mean, I've been told about this by maybe other people, but sometimes I just have to experience the pain of something enough to finally be like, aha, no more. So this was, I think, my third piece for the Huffington Post. Dear men, it is not my responsibility to explain sexism to you. I don't write the titles, by the way. No writer ever writes their titles. Not complaining about this title. Editors are very good at writing titles to get people to click. So the subheading, I find it insulting when men who've put zero effort into learning about women's rights ask me to use my time and energy to explain it to them. So then I go into the story of what brought about these aha moments, and then how I finally hit my limit with teaching men anything. I won't teach them anything unless I'm getting something from it, and I know for a fact they really want to learn. At the end of the day, every minute that I spend trying to teach men, especially men who don't care about anything, that is money, that is time and energy that I'm not putting into work. As a freelancer, I have to work on multiple platforms all day trying to pay my bills. And if I'm arguing with the man in my comments, that's literally taking money out of my pocket. And it's making me resentful. It's making me hate men. When really the problem is that I'm engaging with a man who doesn't respect me. So if I don't engage with them, then I actually, am not affected by them. And I don't blame them as much because I know how to shut them up. Just stop talking to them. Now I talk about how in the beginning, I used to be annoyed because men would have tried to teach me things all the time. As someone who worked in the outdoor industry and is climbing and all of these things, no matter how many, I met a guy who I had literally been climbing since before he was born, and at the top of an anchor of a multi-pitch route in, I think it's in Red Rocks in Vegas. He's like, wow, talking down to me, trying to teach me things about building anchors. And I literally used to teach children how to build anchors, to teach rock climbing. And some young dude who just started is wants to teach me because I'm a woman, right? So I got annoyed by that, but it didn't occur to me until later that I also don't want to teach unless I'm getting paid. So what happened is I wrote something on Facebook, personal about the doctors, not taking me seriously, a male doctor, blah. And then some dude that I didn't even know, some expat here. I call myself an immigrant. He called himself an expat. Do with that what you will. Was like, this isn't a women's issue, it's a human issue. On camps, blah. And I was engaging with him and links to articles to give him resources he could look up. Do you think he read that? No. Of course he didn't read it, because that will require time and energy of his own that doesn't involve me and my time and my energy, me giving it to him. So they're not going to look this up. They want you to summarize it for them. You to be the Cliff's Notes. What else do I have to do with my day than explain to someone I literally just met once who doesn't care about women's rights and everything about women is a human issue to him? Already I know this man doesn't get it. Anytime I get a whiff of sealioning from any man, I immediately know, block him. Just stop talking. At the very least, stop talking. Stop engaging. They're energy vampires. So in my Huffington Post article, I also talk about how another one of my friends came in and she started trying to explain it to this man, and then he just did the same thing, but was even more rude because he didn't know her. He didn't really know me, but he really doesn't know her. And just like sealining, he just wouldn't drop it. The faux student will not drop it because they need to know. They need you to teach them. I gave this dude one warning. Dude, stop. I'm not explaining feminism to you. The empathetic, codependent part of me that gives people way too many chances finally said that if he was genuinely interested, I could send him links to articles that explain what I and all the women were talking about on my post. Don't ever do this, y'all. Don't even offer this. Because right away, I should have known this man would never read it. So I learned the hard way, like always. The next day, he messages me a sorry, not sorry apology. But you know what he didn't do? Ask for any of those links. Not a single one. Because he doesn't actually care about the issue. He never did. And that is sealining right there. They don't care. They don't care. And if there's anything you've learned from my content, as somebody who spent a lot of time on the dating apps, one of the things I learned is that men are bored. They just have so much free time. I don't know women who have that much free time. I don't know a single woman who is that bored. But men seem to have all this free time because that comes with, I don't know, getting paid more and having more access to power. I don't know, whatever. Whatever. They don't have to take care of all the things that we are taught we have to take care of. So with all that extra time, men will do this. Men who are bored will do this to women like me on the internet who do feminism and stuff. If you're on the dating apps, men will just message you constantly, but they never want to meet up with you. They literally just want you to validate them and give them attention, but they're never going to meet up with you because most of them are actually married or in relationships. So they're even lying about why they're on the apps to begin with. But I'm telling you, most of the men on these apps don't want to date you, will never even meet up with you, even just to have with you. That's all I wanted sometimes. They're too lazy to do that. They don't even want that. I know. Shocking. I was like, bro, if this is the easiest lay ever. They're just bored and they want validation and they just want to. That's it. Bored men are a menace to society. So whether they're going picking fights with women on the internet or on dating apps, messaging women just for attention or to argue with them and harass them, because they harass women on the apps all the time. They troll women on the apps all the time. They don't care about you and they literally just want attention and a distraction from feeling dead inside because they won't work on things that would actually better their life and their emotional intelligence. So then I talk about where I learned to stop trying to enlighten men, and it was from Facebook writing group. Pretty regularly, in probably any Facebook group, but these writing groups, some white lady would say something really like blatantly racist or just super ignorant or just whatever, just wrong. And so eventually she would be called out, and usually in like a really kind way. You know, but even the kindest call out, which they didn't even deserve, that wasn't my intent. And then ask more questions, playing the like ignorant thing, right? Because come on, white women, we know this. We can just play like a silly and, you know, like our innocence, the innocent little white girl. I didn't know. Even if we really didn't know, a lot of times we'll just double down into the I didn't know to avoid shame and accountability, right? And all it does is exhaust whoever it is taking time out of their day to teach us. And so people actually would teach them long, thoughtful responses from women of color, especially black women. And they would do so much compassion and patience, more than this woman deserves usually, but almost always white women would try to shut them down with some gaslighting techniques that men use to shut us down. And the lesson oftentimes, most often, would end up with a white lady crying, fragile white tears, crocodile tears, white woman tears. There's a reason why we have that. It goes back for a long history. And if you're white and you're new here and you're like, what? And you don't say anything in the comments. Just learn, Google that term and the history behind it. There's a lot of violence and terrorism behind that. or watch some of my other videos where I talk about it. And then inevitably it would be this, just like that sea lion in the cartoon. What? I'm just trying to have a conversation. Why are you being so angry? Which, when you say this to a black woman with all of the stereotypes, it feeds totally into one of the biggest, worst stereotypes of black women is the angry black woman. This is what they're doing. Oh, you're bullying me. Why are you being mean? Just trying to understand. She'll say right before swearing that she's not racist. This despite the fact that all white people have racism to unlearn. Every single one of us. I don't care. People from like a lot of European countries will be like, you talking about America? What are you talking about? I promise you, there's no way under colonization, there's no way any of us have avoided this indoctrination. It's worse some places than others maybe, but understand that like that fear of shame, being humiliated, being the bad one, and that's why that binary of like good or bad we got to get rid of, because that keeps us from learning and being able to admit we're wrong. Exhausts the very people being harmed by us, the ones who have the give us enough grace to even try to tell us why we're wrong. So I really saw like in real time this happened so many times, and I was like, oh my God, there's a pattern here. And you know, that little ADHD brain loves patterns. And I was like, oh my God, this happens to me all the time with men. Oh wow, I should stop arguing with men who don't want to learn anything. Over time, I started realizing that a lot of women of color have been doing this. It's free labor. It's free labor, that's what it is. Emotional labor, it's intellectual. It's more than emotional labor, but it does involve a lot of emotional labor too. And so I noticed that a lot of them would say, they would link their PayPal or address or like Venmo or their payment app. And they're like, if you want to know more, here to end. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant, because this is labor. This is labor. And the same way that like patriarchy is, it's at the heart of it is a labor issue, right? And so is like capitalism obviously is a labor issue. But white supremacy culture is about exploitation of labor is a huge part of it. Or sometimes they just say Google it. Sometimes people are like, that's rude, that's classist. What if they don't have a computer? Like, we're on the internet. Come on. Like, I think Google it is a perfectly healthy response to somebody, especially who is trying to make you waste your time teaching them, or they're sea lining you. And then I just go into like how much time I spend learning about feminism, and also how it intersects with white supremacy culture and capitalism and ableism and homophobia and transphobia and all these things. I spent a lot of time educating myself. You know, at this point in time, I had actually been to a protest against a Me Too kind of protest in France on a Saturday. I spent my whole day doing that. And my guy friends were at home watching movies. You know, like, we do so much to teach ourselves, to fight, to do all this labor. So please do not waste time on these individuals who try to steal your labor. And to be honest, I rarely meet men who actively educate themselves about feminism, read books or articles by women, or watch TV shows and movies written by and written for women. So the same approach to anything, right? If you're deconstructing white supremacy culture and you're not watching TV shows and movies written by and for Black people, if you're not, you know, literature, all of it, like this is a full-time job. I don't even like to say job, because it's actually makes you a better person. So it's not a job. But it does require commitment. It does require time and caring. And it makes you a better person, right? But so many men will not literally read one book that we're like, this would really benefit you to read this. Hey, fair play. Hey, read this book to save our marriage. You know, all this stuff. We're already spending so much time doing extra labor, getting paid less, taking care of everybody as we're expected to. You know, our children, our friends, our spouses, their parents, stepchildren, whoever it is. And then also have like all this trauma. So we're going to therapy, EMDR, or whatever it is we're trying to do with it. We spend so much time like serving others and trying to help ourselves to like get out of all this trauma responses. And a man who won't even read a book, fork off. The more I started to see how much labor I do to educate men, the more I started to appreciate all the people who have taken the time to teach me anything about racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, and all the things I need to know more about. So if you're new to this work, or even if you're not, one of the best ways to decenter men, decenter the patriarchal conditioning, and deconstruct these systems is to start. Well, actually, my mutual Therese Lee talked about this on our live in the longer form, not the one I posted the other day, about one of the things that she suggests people do is a media audit. And I really think this is a good way to start, is pay close attention to who you're following, what kind of content you're following. Does it make you feel bad about yourself? Like, for instance, if you're following like beautiful women on Instagram, like who, or just like whatever, and like it consistently makes you feel bad, like maybe don't follow them anymore. Like, follow some other people. Like, I know that when I was like, I've always been child free and I've never wanted children, but I know for a while, like when I was like, am I sure? Watching mom content like did not make me feel better about myself, unless it was mom content being like, this sucks. So, you know, whatever. Pay attention to, are you following a lot of men? You probably shouldn't be. I follow some men, but there's very few that I follow, because very few have anything to teach me, especially if they're white men, unless they literally have a degree in something or have some sort of lived experience, or they are specifically talking to men, not women, because most of the men out there who are talking about feminism are literally just stealing my content and my mutuals content and then repackaging it and then preying on the hope, the desperate hope that there's a good one out there, and they're actually like, don't care. I just know just like there's a huge market for red pill content, there's a huge market for men talking about feminism. Those accounts of men, they go, pfft, whereas my accounts take years to build a decent sized platform. And it's because they're exploiting hope. Like Robbie Harvey, if you're following him, stop. I've already done videos about that man. Again, I follow some men, but it's very few. The books you read, the shows you're watching, it's not just about decentering men and patriarchy and really trying to really get to know yourself instead of like what patriarchy has told us to think of ourselves. But it's not even about interactions with men. It is literally about making every area of my life support that process of learning. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you can't ever watch dating shows and like that stuff. Like, I do, mostly to criticize them. And I'm not saying you can't ever, but I'm just saying the more intentional you are about what you give your time and energy to on a regular basis, that alone will impact your life. And also giving your time and attention to the women, buying their books, watching their shows and movies written by them, following them on social media, commenting, sharing, all that stuff. You actually are literally helping them pay their bills so they can continue to do this work, rather than giving that money and those watch hours to men who are stealing their work. So anyway, I don't know if this is helpful, but sometimes these little adjustments in my life are life changing. Right? It seems overwhelming. How do we change all this? How do we push back? And a lot of times it is literally just starts with me and what am I doing in my personal life that supports this way of living and learning. It's based on community and learning and growing and deconstructing all this stuff, versus anything that's reaffirming old beliefs or making me a nihilist or making me just feel so overwhelmed I don't want to do anything, right? Let me know your thoughts. Feel free to share stuff in the comments. Like, comment, share if you like this. Follow my Patreon if you want more kind of stuff around travel. If you want to be at my lives, which are, I've got one coming up next week with G. She's awesome, one of my mutuals, and I can't wait to talk to her. I share personal stuff and stuff about like Mo's updates and all kinds of stuff over there on Patreon. And it's a great way to support me. Even if you can't afford a tier, just following me over there helps me have access to you in case the algorithm never shows you my stuff again. So anyway, let me know what you think. Drop your comments and wisdom in the comments. And let me know if you heard the comment song. Welcome to the comment song. Showing you Mo's. See, he's alive, but he's depressed because he can't do anything. But then again, he's always looking depressed before his back gave out. He's like, leave me alone, jerk. You're such a jerk. Leave me alone. The comment song. Now you can leave your comments and wisdom, but here comes something cool. Look at this. I went to this thing. This is not even a song, y'all, sorry. The other day, they had some roller skating set up for free. People dancing to Michael Jackson. In the roller skates, I'm trying to find a roller skate team, but it's an hour away. Look at this, look at these two guys dancing, roller skating, dancing together. Look at that coordinated stuff. I love it, I love it. I wanted to share it in the comment song. The comment song, the comment song. Skating edition and Mo's edition. Whoa, wipe out the comment song. It's over now. This is the worst song. Whatever. We're having fun here. Bye. Let me know if you heard this.